Good day, gentlemen, and today, finally, welcome back to Teen Titans Go episode reviews on Waluigi Man 8689. I apologize that it's taken so long. I actually have had to do quite a few rehearsals of this before I could actually do it for real, mainly because this video is time consuming and it's probably going to have to be chopped into multiple parts. Anyway, so what I'm going to be doing this episode is I have this list of Teen Titans Go episodes 1 through 36, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be rating them 1 of 4 ratings. Good episode, meaning the episode was good as far as Teen Titans Go episodes go at least, meaning the episode had good jokes, it actually got a few good laughs out of me, and it had little to no, of the Titans being idiots and or jerks. Then there's meh episode, meaning it wasn't good, yet it wasn't bad. Then there's bad episode, meaning the episode was lacking in good jokes and had the Titans being stupid jerks, or one or the other. And finally, there's suicide episode, meaning this episode was so ridiculously terrible that it just gave me this horrid suicide-like feeling when I watched it. Alright, how about we jump right in with episode Legendary Sandwich. I didn't like this one. Starfire caring about her looks, Robin being a bored weirdo, like the supermarket montage, it wasn't funny at all. It was just Raven being a brony, and Beast Boy going against being a vegetarian. Suicide episode. We're off to a pretty bad start. Moving on to episode Pie Bros. Okay, so this episode, Beast Boy has these jobs that aren't even qualified for teens. He lies, sure it has friendship in it, but they're just still being idiots. Suicide episode. Alright, next up, Driver's Ed. I actually like this one. Honestly, I liked it. It was pretty funny with Robin blowing up the crashing and blowing up the Batmobile. That was pretty funny. And despite the fact that the Titans were jerks to Robin at one point in the episode, they varied it out with the funniness and the fact that they were trying to warn him that he was a getaway driver later on. And there was the fact that Robin was dancing to the music, and he's like, "You mean Ed as in driver's ed?" That was actually pretty good. So I'd have to say, this has enough good jokes and whatnot for me to call it a good episode. Alright, let me see here. Okay, next up we have Dog Hand, aka Raven's Daddy Dearest. I have no clue why this episode has 2 titles. This episode, I don't like it. It's not horrible. It's definitely not bad enough to be called a suicide episode, but I have to just say it's a bad episode. It has Trigon going from a giant evil beast saying the earth is mine and fighting off the Titans from being some guy in a suit going bah, 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 to the sound of the Cartoon Network doo-doo-doo theme. That's just wrong. Okay. Next up, Double Trouble. This episode displays so much of Beast Boy and Cyborg being ignorant a-holes. It's a suicide episode. There's no other way I can word that. Okay, the date. This episode, the anonymous voice ended up going out with Starfire was pretty annoying, and also Robin doing that thing to Speedy, and just their battle for Starfire's hand, and Raven being a dick and betraying Beast Boy and Cyborg, despite the fact that, they're jerks to her too. So I have to say, this is a bad episode, but it's definitely not bad enough to be called a suicide episode. Okay, dude, relax. This episode, it's not that bad, yet it's not that good. I like the fact that Robin turns sleeping into a contact sport, and, it's a pretty good episode. There's nothing really that out of order here, until the very end, when Robin finally learns how to relax, but it turns out the Titans need him. Seriously, life doesn't work that way. You can't want something from somebody and then 5 minutes later want the exact opposite. You can do it, but it's not going to end up well. So I rated this a meh episode. It may have actually ended up being good if they didn't have that ending. Okay, and the fact that Beast Boy is being a lazy doofus. Okay, Laundry Day. In this episode, I like the montage of the contests and whatnot, and the fact that Raven has to do the laundry, and she's trying to do it, but she can't. I also like when Cyborg has a woman's outfit, and it's a pretty good episode. I like it. I'd have to say this is a good episode. Sure, it has Robin being a jerk to Raven, but the fact that she tricks him varies it out. Okay. Next episode, Ghost Boy. Beast Boy's a jerk, the Titans are a jerk to him back, he's the biggest jerk of all, and he almost suicides himself. Hey, speaking of suicide, this is not a suicide episode. It's a bad episode. It's on the verge of being suicide, because thanks to Beast Boy's prank, the Titans all died and turned into ghosts. Hey, on the bright side, Robin finally has a superpower! Okay. Next episode, La Larva de Amar. Is that Spanish? I take Spanish as an everyday course, and I still don't know. Well, never mind that. The point is, La Larva de Amar. Or Amar. It's meh. The whole montage with Silky in Mexico with this girl and her ex-boyfriend or whoever that guy is battling for her hand or whatever. It's really stupid. It's really pointless. I don't like this episode. However, the Titans don't really do anything that bad. I'd have to say this is a meh episode, but it's definitely the lower half of mehs. I really didn't like the part at all with Silky over in Mexico, but still. Titans themselves didn't really do anything that bad to this episode, so yeah, it's a meh. Okay, next episode, pizza. We've all had this in our lives. You have a constant battle with the pizza guy to try and get a free pizza. Whether it's what Beast Boy and Cyborg are doing by trying to get him to get there 30 minutes or less, and he just can't do it, or they can't do it. He always ends up getting there in less than 30 minutes when they want him to get there in 30 minutes or more. Or it could be vice versa, like when Vito's trying to deliver a pizza to Garfield and Garfield's stalling him to get his pizza for free. That happened in an episode of the Garfield show. Anyway, so it's a bad episode. And the fact that Beast Boy and Cyborg blow up the pizza place, what the frick? And there's also the fact that Robin has to decide between something, and Silky with the bikini at the end, blah! Robin, you read my mind in that last scene. Okay, next up, Gorilla. This episode was so close to being a suicide episode. It was so freaking close to being a suicide. Honestly, it ended up being a bad, but it was so close to being a suicide episode. Like, seriously, Robin, no need to treat the Titans like slaves, like he's making them do 500 jump squats and he's just standing there watching them, screaming at them and giving them evil criticism and shit. He's like, go faster! And Starfire said she'd rupture the space-time continuum, but he's like, no excuses! And blah, 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 and he's like, Beast Boy, make me a sandwich! And they have to call him Sir, and he's just really being a complete dickhead to everybody. So, it's definitely close to being a suicide episode, but since the other Titans weren't exactly jerks and Raven wasn't a brony, I think it's a bad episode, but it's still on the verge of being a suicide. Thanks a lot, Kim Jong-Robin! Anyway, so next up we have episode Girls' Night Out. This episode was actually decent. I like the fact that the boys were having their idiotic montage of just doing random things, which is like a boys' night out. Boys like to do kind of stupid-like things on boys' nights. They just like to act like knuckleheads. That's a boy thing. While the girls try to do it, but it fails. And the fact that Raven and Starfire break Jinx out of jail is pretty funny too, and the cops are hot on their trail. It's okay, but it doesn't really have that much of a fulfilling ending. I'd have to say it's a meh episode. Okay, next up we have You're Fired. This episode is pretty stale. All that happens is Beast Boy gets fired for being an idiot. A new Titan gets hired. Beast Boy gets his old job back. Blah, blah, blah. Nothing is really at stake here. They try to make a plot and make something at stake, but nothing really is. It's pretty dull, pretty boring. However, it didn't have much of the Titans being jerks other than the fact Beast Boy's being a lazy dick, so it's a meh episode. Next up, Super Robin! Super Robin? This is a bad episode. I'd have to say it's a bad episode. It's not a suicide episode, but it's a bad episode. Because the second half, when Robin gets his powers, is so sad and depressing. Like, Robin's missing the Titans, and he's like, where did I go wrong? He went wrong when he got his powers, and he's like, it's right, they're a curse, and all the Titans are so old, and they're like, curse, Robin! It's creepy, it's weird, it's a bad episode, but not quite a suicide episode. Yeah. And that's another thing. Robin is constantly jealous he's the only Titan without superpowers. So, yeah. 1 second, guys. I need to check my time. Okay. That's all for this part. See you for part 2.